Hi guys, this is gsndon.com and I'm here with the LG Nexus 5X, the secondary Nexus flagship from 2015 that debuted Marshmallow last fall. We already reviewed the Nexus 6P and now it's time for the LG Nexus 5X. Launched in October last year, it's actually the third LG Nexus phone. We have the Nexus 4, Nexus 5 and Nexus 5X now. It's priced at around $337 on Amazon and it's time to discuss its design. So we're dealing with a very comfy phone, I would say surprisingly light considering its screen that measures 5.2 inches in diagonal. This model measures 7.9 millimeters in thickness and weighs 136 grams. In comparison, the HTC One A9 is slimmer but a bit heavier by about 7 grams, and the Nexus 5 was 0.7 millimeters thicker and also 6 grams lighter than this model. I would have to say that this handset has a similar format compared to the Nexus 5, so things haven't changed dramatically, but it's a bit more refined. It's made of plastic material and we have a soft touch back that absorbs grease and fingerprints, so if you leave your fingers like this for a while, you'll find the prints and grease here. Other than that, I have to say that the one-hand usage isn't exactly easy because this is quite a long phone and you cannot even reach all the areas you want on the screen. I have to say that at the back you can find a camera bulk here, not huge but also not very sexy. This feels like a handset that's pretty regular when it comes to design, doesn't exactly have a huge personality, and the buttons on the side feel a bit clicky and have a cheap feel. Cheap feel is actually the feeling you get about the Nexus 5X, but it has an okay build and a pretty much, let's say, utilitarian design lacking some personality. Now on the hardware front, the first thing you see on a handset is obviously the display. Here that display is an IPS LCD 5.2 incher with Full HD resolution, and considering we have no video player, I'm going to resort to photos to play videos on this device. Okay, so here we go. A regular test video is this one. And things to mention here, well, I would say the brightness is okay, but not more than that. The viewing angles are, we would say, so-so, especially because the vertical ones aren't good. Now other things, well, the colors are pretty accurate and the screen is crisp and has reasonable contrast. Pixels are of the RGB stripe variety, which you can see here under the microscope, and the lux meter test was good but not impressive. We reached 410 lux units, and this is still a pretty good result, but I've seen much better and on many phones better than these ones. It's not a big jump from the Nexus 5, that one scored 400 lux, and it's below the Nexus 6P with its 505 lux. Obviously we get special settings for the display available here, and their adaptive brightness, sleep, you can press the power button twice for the camera. We got ambient display and font size. Ambient display works like this: you leave your handset on the table and the screen will wake up when you pick it up or when you get a notification, and thus you'll be able to see what's happening, what emails you got and what other things are worth noting. For example, my number of emails is shown like that without using up too much power. So overall the screen is okay, but I wanted more brightness, especially since this is a secondary flagship with Marshmallow from last year. Now as far as the hardware goes, what we're getting here is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 808 hexa core CPU. We also saw it in action on the LG G4 and Lenovo Vibe X3. It's accompanied by 2GB of LPDDR3 RAM and 16 or 32GB of storage, and there is no microSD card slot here in case you're wondering. Obviously the phone has no lag, has a pretty okay performance and a fluid interface, and it can also handle the gaming quite well, including in titles with high-end graphics like Shine Runner or the freshly launched Winter State, for example. So games are handled okay, and let's give it a go. Excellent looking water, nice sun, a nice rendering of the background. Destructible objects are included, like this one. So you get the idea. Excellent gaming here, and let's say future-proof for about 2 years or so. Now when it comes to benchmarks, I won't insist too much on that. I would only say that we beat the LG G4 in quadrant, and in Antutu 6 we beat the HTC One A9, and in Geekbench 3 we're at about the same level as the Lenovo Vive X3, so pretty much on average, just like any other Snapdragon 808 handset, or maybe better than them, at least better than the LG G4. A surprise was the 3D Mark score, where we beat the Huawei Mate 8. And we already saw the gaming, so that's handled okay. Since I mentioned gaming, I have to mention temperature, because after playing the game Riptide GP2 for 15 minutes, we got to 38.6 degrees Celsius, which means there's no overheating here, and that's good news. Now on the acoustics side, at first sight you may think we have two front speakers. Well, actually this is only the earpiece, and this bottom one serves as the speaker to listen to music. We don't have headphones bundled with this phone, and the upper one is for calls and the lower one for music, but there's a workaround available online that makes both of them usable for tunes. Speaking of tunes, you'll be relying on Google Play Music to play them. And obviously we got the usual equalizer, which is this one here, and includes 5 custom channels, surround sound, and some genre presets. But now let's focus on the music and listen to a song. Okay, so the experience is loud and clear, everything is nicely heard, the bass and guitar are quite okay, and the clarity is very nice. The results we achieved using the decibel meter were also quite good. We achieved 83.8 decibels at both the back and front, which is a good result because it beats the HTC One A9, and it's exactly the same as the iPhone 6 Plus, which is no small feat. Once again, no headphones here. Now, as far as the camera goes, this hump here integrates the 12.3 megapixel shooter with f2.0 aperture and 1.55 micron pixels. This camera sensor is made by Sony. We have a laser focus mechanism here and a dual LED flash. Keep in mind that the Nexus 5 had optical image stabilization and this one doesn't. For the selfies, 5 megapixel shooter, f2.0 aperture and 1.4 micron pixels. So let's fire on the camera using that trick. Double press the power button. And the camera UI, it's exactly as we left it on the Nexus 6P, minimalistic and bare bones. The camera app opens fast and everything is fast here. Got a fluid zoom, got a very fast focus courtesy of that laser focus mechanism, and very fast picture taking, something we also noticed on the Nexus 6P. So I'll say it again, it's a bare bones interface that includes photosphere, panorama, lens blur, and settings like the ones related to resolution and quality. You can film up to 4K, of course there's also Full HD, and you can film Full HD with the front camera. We got panorama resolution available, and those are pretty much all the options, plus save location. And then at the top we got the timer, we got the HDR plus, which can be set to on, auto or off, the flash, and once again those are all the options available. Plus you can activate the video capture, and in the video capture area you'll be able to also activate the 120 frames per second slow motion video capture. Now we're done with the options. Now it's time to analyze the gallery of shots taken with the LG Nexus 5X, and as usual we do have quite a few of them, over 100, all of them available here. We start off with shots taken on a day that was both sunny and cloudy at the same time. And the first shot is a regular one plus HDR one. The HDR did a nice trick here. Images are crisp and clear. The sky looks excellent. Even if this is a mere 12 megapixel camera, once you zoom into the shots, the details are pretty good. I would say sufficiently good, and that's nice. This is a zoomed in shot. That's the distance towards that flag, and that's the zoom in with good details, even for the trees, leaves. And then we started playing around with some close-ups of flowers that look excellent, thanks to the laser focus probably. Excellent lighting, color, texture, everything you want is available right here. We didn't have many blurry shots, which is always a good thing. We also played with the focus, focused on the background or on the foreground, using those little statues of toys. I have to say that using this handset I've taken some of the best HDRs I've seen before, and the panorama also felt pretty generous. All details are okay. You can see it was cloudy in here and sunny in here, and still camera had no problem in taking the panorama. Zoomed in again, excellent details again, playing with the focus. And as I said before, the sky is rarely captured so good with a handset, especially at this resolution. I would have to say that generally the photo quality was on par with the Nexus 6P and the iPhone 6s if you really want a comparison. The panorama was wide, 13,824 megapixels over 1820. Even the selfies look nice in spite of the fact that the background was a bit blurry. The skin texture was quite okay and everything looked pretty reasonable. Details are great, exposure is good, focus is good, white balance is good, and the blues here, especially the blue hues, are excellently rendered and caught on camera. More shots here. Of course, you'll see all of them in a full gallery once the review is done. And now let's get to the low light capture. So some indoor shots first, close-ups of cocktails with excellent texture and not one blurry shot. These are all indoors, and then we moved outside for a huge surprise. For a phone that's so cheap, priced below $400, well, I would say these low light shots at night are fantastic. And I mean here exposure, I mean color, I mean clarity, pretty much everything. And the brightness is simply fantastic. We even have great close-ups, like this one, perfect flash, and we're pretty much at the Huawei Mate 8 level, and that one is the landmark when it comes to low light shooting. Just check out this shot. It was taken at about 10 PM at night and still looks that great. The LG Nexus 5X has got to be one of the top 3 low light capture handsets we've tested, and it even beats some of the 16 megapixel or 20 megapixel shooters out there in this area. Now when it comes to video capture, we filmed in MP4, Full HD at 30 frames per second with a 17 megapixel bitrate, or 4K with a much higher bitrate. And let's see some of the videos. Pretty good acoustics, not many problems with the wind, crisp image, good clarity, nice colors and good exposure. And when zooming in, the quality was kept. Sadly, the videos are pretty shaky in lack of stabilization, and if I'm not mistaken, this is a 4K video, which looks very good. And you can easily alternate the exposure between the sunny areas and cloudy areas without a problem. And when we did zoom in, as I said before, we didn't lose quality, which is not something we can say about the Galaxy S7 Edge, so that's a big compliment for this model. Handles the zoom in very nicely. In both Full HD and 4K, check this out, maximum zoom and still no quality loss. Even the nighttime videos looked quite okay, which is also pretty impressive. I would have to say that when it comes to video capture, the Nexus 5X can fight any flagship without a problem, of course minus the stabilization. So overall an excellent camera, especially for this price tag, a camera that, just as I mentioned, can fight the Huawei Mate 8 and the Galaxy S7 Edge. Now as far as the browser goes, obviously Chrome is pre-installed, and let's access gsmdom.com. As you can see, not the fastest browser in the world, but still it has great benchmarks. When we tested the browser, it achieved excellent browser marks, SunSpider and Velamo benchmarks. We have a comfy stock keyboard and we're not afraid to use it, especially on this relatively general screen. Now on the connectivity area, we're dealing with a single SIM phone with 4G LTE connectivity. There's Bluetooth 4.2, USB Type-C at the bottom, important to remember that, and Wi-Fi 802.11 ABGN AC dual band. We're using a nano SIM card slot here, GPS, GLONASS, and I have to mention that the calls achieved with this phone are not very loud, a bit disappointing actually, but the signal was good and so was the clarity. Speaking of good things, I would have to say that I'm pretty happy with the download and upload speed here. They're excellent. You can see 26 megabits in download, 13 upload, but the ping was huge. We usually achieve 15 ms and 44 is kind of strange in this case. Now it's time to discuss the battery here. and we're dealing with a 2700 mAh unit lithium polymer, and we achieved 8 hours and 3 minutes of HD video playback, which is quite okay for this format. We beat the Asus Zenfone 2 and were pretty much on par with the Huawei Mate S. In PC Mark, that simulates continuous usage, quite a good result, 6 hours and 26 minutes. Once again, we beat the HTC One A9, but also the Huawei P8. Charging was, I would say, a pleasant surprise because we're using an USB Type-C wire and also charger. We charge in 1 hour and 50 minutes, which is good for USB Type-C. Obviously, there are power saving features here, those that come with Marshmallow, and you go to battery, get battery saver, activate it immediately, or mess around with battery optimization, which is linked to the dose feature. So overall an okay battery, and it's time to discuss the software experience. So we're running on Android 6.0.1 Marshmallow. This is a stock experience, it's pretty much vanilla, nothing different from the way Google wanted to ship Android to you. We have some nice widgets. You can see them right here and scroll around them in both vertical and horizontal fashion. We got a carousel multitasking, as usual once again. The drop down area includes notifications and quick settings. And in the settings area, we can go to security and trigger the fingerprint scanner in case you want to test it. You can secure your print with a pin and then start using Nexus imprint at the back in order to set up your print on the device. Fast setup, excellent recognition, it's accurate and fast when it comes to unlocking the device. Okay, screen lock is using a pin, and that's it. So now let's try to unlock the device from a standstill simply by pressing on the fingerprint scanner. Pin required, okay. Let's try again. This time it worked first time, second time, and this time from the screen, so pretty accurate and fast working. I won't insist too much on Marshmallow because you already saw it on a few devices already, and we got tap and pay here, we have Android Pay, we have improved permission support, there is this area here that allows you improved memory management, storage and USB available as well, and with an option to explore the storage like this. And once again, improved permission management and improved link behavior from apps. And this is a pure Android for the Android purists, and that's got to count for something because it doesn't have bloatware. We only have 27 apps installed, which is quite nice. And at the top of the app drawer, the new app drawer, we have the 4 more accessed apps. So among the 27 pre-installed apps, we find the usual package: calculator, calendar, Chrome, clock, the Google+, Hangouts, the Play Suite, Sheets, Slides, and Photos, for example. Okay, time for the verdict for the LG Nexus 5X. On the Pro side, a comfy design with an okay brightness for the screen, good performance, I would have to say okay acoustics, but only one speaker unless you count the workaround, great camera, flagship level camera, even the video, and fantastic low light capture. Now if you want to go to the cons side, well, cheap materials were used to make this device. We got clicky buttons that feel pretty cheap. Also, the plastic case does not exactly feel premium. View angles of the screen are so-so. The lack of image stabilization for the camera may be a problem, and the calls were not very loud. And we go back to the pros because I want to remind you that we have an okay battery for the price tag. So overall, it's a solid phone that's priced a bit over $300 right now, although some aspects of it can rival the ones of phones that are priced at $600 or even $700, so that's got to count for something. Software wise, it's a future-proof phone for, let's say, 3 years, maybe 4. Hardware wise, 1.5 years or maybe 2 if you're really talking about hardcore games. Great camera, good battery, so those are all the things to remember here. Of course, compromises were made: lack of optical image stabilization, lack of a more quality case, but they can be bypassed for the LG fans, Nexus fans, and pure Android fans. This is it from gsn.com. This was the review of the Nexus 5X, one of the most solid mid-rangers that can battle flagships right now. Bye bye!